Hello, everyone. Welcome to Beauty Academy in an online webinar series created by BeautySourcing. My name is Selena. I will be your host today for this edition of webinar, Beauty Ingredient Innovation and Trend. We're delighted for you to join today. Before we get started, first of all, we will be kindly ask you to use your desktop as we will show a lot of information. Wait. As we'll show a lot of information, and we wanted to make sure if you can get the most of it. Secondly, you are muted. Secondly, you are muted. But if you have questions, please post your questions through our Q&A. Last, a copy of this webinar will be available at beautysourcing.com. Now, in case you haven't heard about BeautySourcing, BeautySourcing is an online platform for small media beauty and wellness enterprises to source, connect, and learn. We power brands with digital solutions and services to help them to grow. Within BeautySourcing ecosystem, there are three parts. First is Beauty Marketplace, a place to offer the most efficient way for beauty entrepreneurs to source a shortlist of qualified suppliers who have actively attended worldwide beauty trade shows. Next is Beauty Academy, a results showing platform for industry leaders to showcase their innovations, recognize their challenges, and deliver the information through interview and a series of online seminars. Last is Beauty Community, a community platform that empowers beauty industry players to share and grow the beauty business knowledge. All right, help us things to launch here are three individuals who have their special skills in this area. Joe Chitley is a chemist and a founder of Beauty Kitchen UK Limited, a company on a mission to create the most sustainable beauty products in the world. She is Beauty Kitchen's top critic, inspecting everything from the efficacy of the products to the way the ingredients are sourced, right down to the packaging sustainable for each product. Sustainability in packaging is a subject that is close to her heart and inspired Beauty Kitchen's Return, Refill, Repeat program. Jo has won industry awards, including Who's Who in Nature Beauty and Business Awards, such as Scale Up Entrepreneurs of the Year. She features in national and international press and is regularly invited to speak at global sustainable events to share her ideas and knowledge on how all of us can develop new ways to build a more sustainable future. Our second speaker is Dr. Simon Jackson. Simon is a pharmacognosist and did his doctoral studies at King's College, London School of Pharmacy in the Department of Pharmacognosy. He has specialized in medical plants from sub-Saharan Africa in the treatment of skin cancer, namely, and worked extensive on Bomba Diet. He was the founder of his namesake brand, Dr. Jackson's Natural Products, has traveled extensive in sub-Saharan Africa, South America, and Southeast Asia. He has authored numerous scientific papers and presented at global conference. Simon co-founded Modern Botany, a nature product personal care brand, and currently heads up the R&D. Our third speaker is Louisa Olive. Louisa is a technical marketing international consultant and CEO and founder of Low Consulting, a formulation designer specialized in makeup and skincare products. After more than 20 years, she collaborated with international cosmetic companies around the world, implicated in sustainability, recycling ingredients, waterless formulas, green alternative preservatives, without silicones, without any aggressive ingredients for human, experience in production processing, including knowledge of raw materials, waste, quality control, cost, and innovation technologies. to develop products. Ruisa frequently speaks at beauty industry events and has held various conferences all around the world. Now, over to our first speaker, Joe Chitley. The topic is, what is the next sustainable ingredient trend? Okay, welcome, Joe. Over to you.
Hi there. So I'm just going to share my screen.
Yes.
I think maybe you need to give me access to share.
You haven't got access? Just wait a moment.
Thank you.
You have it right now?
So it's...
Sorry, good morning.
Luisa, welcome. Sorry. Joe, have you get access?
No, so I can't share my screen while you're sharing your screen. Ah, there you go. Thank you.
Yeah, already. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
Can everyone see me and the slides?
I can see you. Right.
Fabulous. So we have got a lot to get through. I know my accent, which is Scottish, so I will try and speak as clearly as possible. And we're talking about what is the next sustainable ingredient. And the reason why I've put join the reuse revolution here is, although I'm going to talk to you about ingredients within your products, I very much want to give a focus on packaging as well. So we all know that the waste zero or zero waste movement has been around now for many years. But since the Blue Planet programme with David Attenborough around 2 years ago, there has been a big focal point with consumers. And when we think about packaging, 95% of beauty packaging is thrown away after just one use. And that's billions of pieces of packaging every year. The younger generations, they're highly engaged with looking after themselves, but also looking after the planet. So what we need to do within the beauty industry is we need to respond to this. So to give you a global overview, focusing on products that are great for both consumers and the planet is really what the next sustainable ingredient needs to be. So green and natural beauty are now really the norm. What takes you to that next step? And that's really what I'm going to talk about over the next slides. There is some data that are on these slides, and the slides will be available on the BeautySourcing website. So the interest in natural beauty and personal care is universal. It doesn't matter whether you're here in Scotland or whether you are in the Far East in China. Across the globe, there is a big interest from consumers in natural beauty. But lifestyles are beginning to shift. People want just more than natural ingredients. They want a way for brands to be able to give them a more sustainable way of living their lives. And again, some of these stats here are from across nations across the world. So 44% of people in the US want to live more sustainably. Brazilian consumers are more interested in the fact that they dislike waste. And even in India, they're looking for brands that are supporting a natural and sustainable lifestyle. And this is mirrored by innovation trends. So the ethical and environmental claims that have happened over the past 10 years and have accelerated within the past couple of years are all very much based within ethical and environmental claims. So this gives us the data to say that to create more sustainable ingredients and more sustainable beauty and personal care products will in turn sell more to consumers. And when we actually look at the heightening of the original natural message, it's not just about natural only. What people are looking for are multi-attribute products. So natural is one part of that, but it also has to have ethical and environmental in it. And if it has both types, then you're covering off a lot more for your consumers. And here we look at the innovation through a variety of different categories within our industry. there has been a real drive, particularly within colour cosmetics, for a change to having a bigger percentage of products that are more natural and have an ethical and environmental claims to back that up. When we look at Europe, what Europe is currently focusing in on, it's what's in the product rather than what's not in the product. And if I give an example of that, there's legislation that has happened very recently where you have to ensure that when you market your product, you're talking about the ingredients that are in your product rather than the ingredients that are not in your product. So you can no longer say on pack here in Europe that your product is free from parabens, as an example. And that has given a shift to what sustainability actually means here in Europe. So here's some showcasing of some products that are currently available across the globe at the moment. And what these 3 brands are doing are very much focusing in on the power of nature. What can we do that is natural, organic, or using aromatherapy, and how that can highlight to the consumer why they should buy this product. The consumer wants to know, each ingredient and the purpose of that. What is the efficacy? And when we talk about it here at Beauty Kitchen, we talk about natural, effective, and sustainable. But you have to be very cautious when you're using nature or natural ingredients and do this responsibly. And what we mean by that is that if your product only has, a tiny percentage of natural ingredients, consumers are starting to become much more savvy about that. And it will do more detriment to your brand if you highlight it's more natural, if you only have 0.5%, for instance, of a natural ingredient within the formulation. And this goes across the globe. And one of the other shifts that are happening in this sustainability lifestyle mode is that people are looking not just at the humanitarian efforts, but also at the planetary efforts. And a way that we describe it here at Beauty Kitchen is that you have to think of people, planet, profit. And if you look after those 3 things, then you will become a brand that consumers believe that you are trying to do the right thing by all of those elements. And there's also some certifications that can sit around that to independently verify that that's what you're doing. So here's some examples of companies that are going above and beyond, whether it's recycling your toothbrushes to having carbon neutral hair care products, through to upcycling waste ingredients and creating a new product from it. You also need to let your consumers know that you are accountable for these sustainability efforts. And whether that is through your natural ingredients, your natural formulations, whether it's through your carbon footprint, whether it's through using how you look at waste and how you utilize waste ingredients, you have to then verify that. And the way that we describe it here at Beauty Kitchen is that what gets measured gets done. So if you measure what you are doing, you can then transfer that data out to your consumers to say that you're holding yourself accountable, but that also you want them to be on the sustainability journey with you. Just as a consumer doesn't automatically change into a sustainable lifestyle, businesses don't just become instantly more sustainable. And here's some examples of bringing it all together. So whether that's the formulations for the microalgae that Beauty Kitchen uses, where that microalgae, when it's produced, is actually absorbing CO2, releasing energy and creating electricity by manufacturing this particular ingredient, through to using fast renewable resources like bamboo. And this is where you're bringing it all together. So it's not just about the ingredients, it's also about the packaging that you use for your formulations. That's very important and will give you longevity within your brand. whether that's as an ingredient manufacturer or whether that is as a beauty brand. So for Beauty Kitchen, we have talked about our return, refill, repeat programme. And this is on every piece of packaging that we use. And in France, for instance, 77% of consumers think that brands should have a sustainable programme that replaces the natural resources that they use to make their products. And this is just one example of the shift to a more sustainable lifestyle. So how can you do that overall? Well, what we've tried to do here with Return, Refill, Repeat is we've tried to lower those barriers to entry. So this reusable packaging and refill station technology is available to any personal care brand that wants to use reusable packaging. But what we've done is we've demonstrated this by having Beauty Kitchen be the first customer to Return, Refill, Repeat. So we all know what the problem is, and plastic is the problem. And although plastic, as a chemist, carbon and anything that's related to organic chemistry, really is at the heart of driving innovation, and it's what planet Earth is all about. But what we've done is we've innovated and we've created things in a linear way. So we have created plastic without actually thinking what happens when that plastic comes to its end of life. And I'm really sorry to tell you this, but recycling is not the answer. It is only one element of a much bigger way to tackle the problem. So as an example, 1952 million tons of plastic were produced every year. Fast forward to 2020, 380 million tons of plastic were created, and that is going to multiply in the coming years. And have we actually thought about what we do with the plastic after its single use? Not really. And we are reusing less than ever before, because for us as consumers and as businesses, we see it as convenient, but we also see it as cost effective and cheap. But is it really cost effective and cheap? And that's the question that I want to pose here today, is that if we continue to produce products for a linear economy, there just really won't be a planet for us to live on very soon. And unless we change, we know from the Ellen MacArthur Foundation that our oceans will contain more plastics than fish by 2050, which is not that far away. And a circular economy is the solution, but it's difficult. I'm not going to say it's easy. Yeah, however, if we decide as an industry to do this together and collaborate together, we can definitely do this. And if I give a stat to hit the commercial heart of any business, for every $10 that your product retails at, $2.50 of that is packaging. And if that packaging is only used once, that $2.50 is a sunk cost. Why would you not want to keep that $2.50 circulating throughout your business, which not only helps your business, but also helps the planet? And that's what we've tried to demonstrate here at Return, Refill, Repeat. We know that 98% of consumers want to buy more sustainable products because they want to live more sustainably, and they need to have the brands and the retailers to give them those options and give them accessibility. And we also know that consumers want to buy refillable beauty products. We know that we use shower gel on a regular basis. We don't understand why we need to continue having a new bottle every single time we buy that product. And consumers are prepared to make the switch. And the other thing of making the switch is they're switching brands because of the refillable options. So the brand loyalty becomes a key commercial argument here. They're also prepared to pay more because they understand that the packaging element of it gives them longevity. So just for a moment, guys, can we imagine a world that in pursuit of our own sustainable lifestyles, billions of consumers switch to reusable packaging. They consume the contents of the packaging, returning their empties to the point of purchase for refill, to return it for cleaning and for reuse. It saves consumers money, it saves businesses money, it reduces waste, and most importantly, it keeps the planet's limited resources flowing in continuous circles of reuse. This is a world where we waste zero, and this is not just about packaging. I am coming back to ingredients. So here we have a new standard. So Cradle to Cradle is a certification, but the Cradle to Cradle principles can be utilised by any business. You don't need to be certified to understand what it is they're trying to achieve. They have the biological cycle. And what that means is renewable resources that can be renewed quickly. So whether that is Abyssinian oil, which is a fast growing plant that can be grown almost anywhere, maybe not Scotland, but anywhere with a little bit of a longer summer. It creates biodiversity within the farming, and it's a cash crop. Yeah, and Abyssinian oil has already demonstrated that it either performs just as well or better than jojoba oil and argan oil. You know, so the question really, and also it's more cost effective to purchase. So the question really is, why wouldn't you use something that is more renewable and it has the efficacy to back up the claims, and it's also good for humans and the environment? And then with Cradle to Cradle principles, you have the technical cycle, and that's everything that is man-made. Yeah. So from steel bottles through to aluminium, through to glass. Material science is huge within the beauty industry and should be even bigger within the packaging industry. Plastic is not our only option, and it certainly isn't the most commercial way to tackle a more sustainable lifestyle. And when you put both of these together, ultimately as a business, you become more profitable, you become more scalable, and you're also doing the right thing. So why do we not want to give consumers what they want? They want convenience, value for money, choice. They want efficacy. Brands want new customers. They want them to be loyal. They want to protect their profitability, but they also need to meet sustainability targets. We all know that COP26 is here in the UK today, this year, and it's very close to home. It's in Glasgow as well as a city. And that focus of climate change and the Sustainable Development Goal number 13, we know as a worldwide population, we all have to lean into this. We have to get to net zero quicker than we ever thought would be possible. So why would you not want to create your business around that climate change opportunity? And retailers want to increase footfall, they want new customers, and they want to have their space, challenged by these sustainability goals. So there's two options that you have. You have the refill model, which is a refill station based in store, and you have the pre-fill model, which is all of your products in reusable packaging. So what's out there at the moment? Well, there is lots of different models that are happening across the globe, from laundry detergent through to the body shop, through to into retailer stores. There's various models from completely manual to semi-automated. So we are not the only ones that are doing this, but we are the only ones that are offering it to other people. And this is a little video just to bring to life one of our first customers, which is Unilever.
You know the day destroys the night, night divides the day. Try to run, try to hide, break on through to the other side, break on through to the other side, break on through to the other side, yeah. We chased our pleasures here, dug our treasures there. Can you still recall the time we cried,
Sorry. Okay, so bringing that all together, you were maybe expecting a lot more in the ingredient space. And it's not that I didn't want to touch on the ingredients. The ingredients are really, really important to anything within the beauty industry and personal care industry. However, times have moved on, and ingredients and efficacy are not the only thing that consumers are looking for. They are looking for the full package, but they're prepared to be on the journey with you. They want to engage, they want to build a community, and you need to be formulating in a climate change age. So what do we mean by that? Well, your ethical claims need to be truly green. You know, you cannot greenwash, because in this digital social media age, you will be found out and consumers will not return. You have to use nature responsibly, looking at ingredients that are renewable and that add value to the resources, for instance, soil, are very, very important. And that's where organic really plays a part. And really do not resist the change. You might think that reusable packaging, refill stations, and renewable ingredients are not the way to go. But the future is here. It's very much here now, and you shouldn't resist that change. So thank you for listening. And any questions that you have, we can answer them now. I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
Jill, actually, there's a question. It's Richard Yuan who has posted to you to ask you, can the models that you have just introduced to us, this return, refill, and repeat model, can work in China? And how do you think about a China market?
Yes, it can. We are currently in discussions with A.S. Watson's and Beauty Kitchen. Our products are currently available in A.S. Watson's at the moment in reusable packaging. What we would want to do is when we move into the Chinese market on a much larger scale, what would happen is that our bottle washing facility would need to be set up locally. And this is what's really interesting about sustainability as a whole. With the return, refill, repeat and the reusable packaging element of it, it has a high element of social fairness. Because when you're a beauty brand, you can make your products anywhere. And that's great, because you have then the flexibility of globalization. But when it comes to reusable packaging, you need to have a local cleaning hub. And that then creates employment in the local area, wherever you're selling your products. So it then gives value to social fairness, and it gives an equality in my head. So our first bottle washing plant is obviously here in Scotland. Our second one is going to be in the Netherlands to be able to facilitate Europe. And then we're looking at other areas across the globe. So yeah, it's very much can work within the Chinese market. And if anyone wants to talk more in depth about that, then, you know, please contact me.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. Thank you for the great input, a lot of useful information and a great initial programs, I mean, in beauty industry to approach and to let all the entrepreneurs to think about how to renew their kind of business to this kind of new era of the business in beauty. So yeah, great.
Yeah.
Thanks for the
I
sharing.
do see that there is another question in the Q&A where someone has asked, is there any hygiene concerns? Yeah, so just to reassure, so the two models that we have, the refill station that is actually in retail stores where you refill in store, it is a complete regulated, compliant mini manufacturing site. So, you know, it has all of the regulation that is needed. When it comes to the reusable packaging, when it is returned to us for cleaning. Our cleaning protocol is of the highest standard and sits within the cosmetics regulation here within European standards. So, you know, I do get the question for the hygiene concern, but because we have to sit within a very highly regulated environment here within Europe, then we have to address those concerns. And then someone else has just popped up another question. How do you handle the fragrance residue in bottles? Are the bottles brand specific? Great question. The bottles are not brand specific, and the fragrance residue, interestingly, as part of our cleaning protocol, what we have developed is we've developed a way that the residue that's in the bottle actually helps with the pre-wash. So when we go through the cleaning protocols, the cleaning is not just once, the bottle is actually cleaned 3 times. And as part of the cradle to cradle principles, we use the residue that's in the bottle to help with the cleaning. So I hope that helps.
Okay. Yeah, I think anyone has any question you can post, and also we can later connect with Jo and let her professional experts to help your business. Yeah. So thanks, Jo. Thanks for your nice speech. Thank you. Okay, next we over to Dr. Simon. Simon, are you there? Simon?
Hello, I'm here.
Okay,
Can you hear
over
me?
to you. Over to
Hi.
you.
Thank you, Selena, and thank you, Jo. That was a lovely talk. I really enjoyed that. So congratulations. My family also come from Scotland, but I don't have a strong accent, I'm afraid. So, but I have quite a British accent, so I'll try and talk slowly. I'm just going to share my screen with everybody. So 2 seconds. So here you go. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. So yeah, so first of all, thank you for inviting me to talk at this online webinar. I'm very grateful, and I'm just going to really give you a very high overview. The question really was about biotech ingredients. You know, is it really the truly expected way to lead the beauty industry to achieve sustainability? So that's really the theme of my talk. I'm also what's called a pharmacognosist. So well done, Selena, because it's a very difficult word to say, but it's a real discipline in science. So I'm going to talk about a bit of pharmacognosy and what is it. I'll tell you a bit about myself and a bit about my career to date and my experiences. I'll obviously give you some definitions as what pharmacognosy is, because I think it's very key at the moment. I'm going to show you some examples of bioactives and also some active ingredients, so we can talk about those. And then really about botanical raw material and you know why it's becoming unsustainable. So I think that's one of the key things that we really need to kind of look at is the unsustainability of the access. And really, is pharmacognosy biotechnology the solution going forward? So that's really the theme of my talk. Again, all these slides will be available online, and Selena can direct everybody to that. But pharmacognosy is the study of medicines derived from natural sources. So a lot of people have never heard of it before, but basically it could be animal, vegetable, or mineral. And it comes from the Greek word, which is pharmakon, which is drug or medicine, and gnosis, which is knowledge. So it's the knowledge of medicines. And I always use, for example, aspirin. Everybody's heard of aspirin. Aspirin comes from the Salix alba because it's called salicylic acid, so it's from the willow tree, and you know that's the origin of aspirin. So pharmacognosy in today's society is an interdisciplinary study. I'm not going to go into great detail, but just to explain to people, because a lot of people don't know what I do, including my mum. But basically, I do a bit of botany, a bit of ethnobotany, which is traditional uses of plants, a bit of medical anthropology, which is how plants are used traditionally. Marine biology is very important, especially over in Asia. There's some really interesting compounds coming out of marine organisms like sea sponges. Microbiology, which is testing on microorganisms. You've got herbal medicine, chemistry, and biotechnology is a big part of pharmacognosy. So that's why I think it's key to really talk about that today. Phytochemistry, which is the natural chemistry ingredients. Pharmacology, which is testing on living tissue. And then you go into pharmaceutics, which is actually making the medicine, and then clinical pharmacy, which is actually rolling it out to patients. So that's really what pharmacognosy is, and it's the whole project life cycle, going from when somebody uses something traditionally to actually making it into a medicine or a cosmetic ingredient and then putting it out into the supply chain. That's kind of what I do. I think it's really important at the moment. And as Joe was just saying, I think natural ingredients are just becoming so popular, and I think it's becoming the norm. People are really looking for natural ingredients, especially in cosmetics and nutraceuticals. So for me, it's very much about knowledge transfer. It's how do we actually transfer that knowledge? It's also about commercializing pharmacognosy principles and actually putting them into the industry. It's about making quality products, because if you don't make a really good product, people aren't going to come back and buy it again. So you have to show efficacy. It's also about benefit sharing for me, and it's about putting money back into the country of origin. So if we're using a plant from a particular area, make sure that money goes back to that country of origin. Just while I remember it on the top of my head, because somebody was asking, what was the name of the oil that Joe was talking about? It's called Crambe abyssinica. It's an oil that's used a lot. Really nice product. So for me, the study of pharmacognosy is more relevant than ever, and I think it's really important that people don't forget about this discipline. So this is me. I did a PhD in pharmacy at King's College in London. I specialised in skin cancer research, but a lot of people don't know a lot of the chemotherapy drugs that we use are actually from plants. So I was very much based on plant-based chemistry. I did a postdoc at Kew Gardens, the Royal Botanic Gardens in Kew, which is a beautiful place to work. They have a beautiful laboratory there. I also worked in industry for a while for GlaxoSmithKline and specialised in skin diseases treated by natural products. I set up my own company in 2008, Dr. Jackson's, so I am Dr. Jackson. But then in 2016, I moved to Ireland, and I'm calling you from Ireland at the moment, and I'm the Chief Scientific Officer and co-founder of Modern Botany. I'm also a member of the American Botanic Council and guest editor, and I also work with the Society for Plant Medicine in Europe, and I'm also a member of the Society of Cosmetic Scientists as well. So a bit about me, and I won't go into too much detail, but if you look at a map of the world, the World Health Organization, they state that 80% of the world's population use plants as primary healthcare. That comes to quite a surprise to a lot of people, especially in the UK. But again, if you're looking at, say, Asia or China, for example, it's really not so much of a surprise because there's such a long history of things like traditional Chinese medicine. You look at somewhere like India, you've got Ayurvedic medicine. North America, you've got Native American and shamans. In South America, you've got your shaman and medicine men. In Africa, you've got your African traditional medicine. And then obviously in Asia, and you've got your Aboriginal medicine in Australia. 10 years ago, nobody had ever heard of tea tree, probably 20 years ago now, but now everybody's heard of tea tree. It's a traditional plant that's used in Australia as an antimicrobial. So for me, I was just very excited about working in the natural product field. So normally they roll me out like this with a lab coat on and a dicky bow, but I'm more happy in a rainforest. So I lived in Southeast Asia in a tiny island called Sumba, which is near Timor in the NTT of Indonesia, and really working in the rural community with local people. And generally it's the women and the women's groups who kind of keep the knowledge of a lot of this natural product medicine. So working with the botanists as well, and this is me back in the day with quite long hair. I was a bit of a hippie. So this is what I got really interested in, natural products. I then went to the Amazon, and I worked in the Amazon in Peru. I was working with the American Botanic Council at a conference, and we're working up in the canopy, because basically a lot of the life in the rainforest is not on the ground, it's actually up in the canopy. So this is the research station based in the middle of the Amazon rainforest, which was quite an amazing experience. So I've had some experience on South American plants, Asian plants. This is in the rainforest in Southeast Asia, but also really kind of specifically looking at indigenous plants specific to one particular region. So Africa has been working more recently, and I've been working with my partner John Murray with local communities on the baobab. So this is baobab, Adansonia digitata, and trying to commercialize baobab into European products and formulations. So we've had a lot of experience and fun working in different places around the world. This is actually a baobab plant in front of me here. But more recently, what I've been trying to do is popularize this science of pharmacognosy into the mainstream media. So for example, Vogue, it's not the kind of magazine that a scientist would probably read, but what we've been doing is in what I call coffee table magazines is actually starting to talk about pharmacognosy. So people can relate to calling me, say, a herbal pharmacist, but pharmacognosy is now starting to get a bit of a name in the industry, and people are starting to understand that it's a real discipline. GQ, for example, they call me Dr. Feelgood. So Dr. Jackson, saving the planet one wrinkle at a time is my strapline. So I'm really starting to put the natural products onto the agenda, especially in Europe. And they call me a visionary. I've been called lots of other names, but a visionary, it's quite nice. So more recently, I've been working and I've set up Modern Botany over here in Ireland, but utilizing all of those experiences. So all the different travels and different expeditions we've been on, and we're trying to really kind of keep alive the science of natural products. So the science of nature is the strapline that we use for Modern Botany. There's three of us founders in the company. There's myself, who brings the science to the table. You've got Tracy Woodward, who's actually the strategy and innovation director. And then you've got John Murray, who manages the sustainability and the herb farming for the company. So this is actually where I live. This is the view outside of my window at the moment. But the four pillars that we have in the company are science, origin, integrity, and longevity. So the S is obviously about the science of the ingredients, the origin, where they came from, the integrity in the supply chain, and also the longevity of the products, but also of the individuals taking them and the supply chain that we're using. So for us at Modern Botany, it's very much about education and educating the consumers and keeping alive these traditional knowledges into the modern environment or modern business. So these are a couple of products that we make. We do a natural deodorant and a natural oil. And we talk about the power of 5. So over here in Ireland, these are 5 of the key plants that we're using. So we've got flaxseed, we've got borage, we've got seaweed, we've got calendula and chamomile, and I'll talk about those a little bit later. And what we stand for is very much a vegan brand. We're cruelty-free international, and we also donate 1% of our gross profits to environmental causes. So we're part of 1% for the planet. We're also what's called Cosmos Natural. Cosmos Natural is also a high certificate that we adhere to. And this is actually where I'm sat at the moment. We also run a herb farm, so we're tackling it from both angles and looking at the sustainability of growing our herbs as well. So for me, success isn't defined by the work that we do, it's by the people that we help and the communities that we build. And it's very much, as Joe was saying earlier, it's about working together and it's about collaborating to kind of make this happen in the industry. So that's a bit about me. These are some of the products that we make. This is Modern Botany oil, which actually has cranberry seed oil in it, which is a great ingredient and very sustainable. We also do a deodorant product, which has won lots of awards. We just won the most innovative Irish brand recently, and also Women's Health over in the UK gave us the best deodorant product recently, which is great. So I'm sure everybody on the call knows that the total European and the US cosmetic market is huge, and it's estimated about $135 billion by the end of this year. The natural part of that is about 10%, and that's worth about 11 billion. But it's expected to double by 2024. So it's actually the fastest growing market in the industry. And as we were saying earlier, it's very much one that people are looking towards and looking to move towards. So it's very important that we actually tackle this from the ground up and actually look at the raw materials as we're working. So consumers are obviously demanding more insights as to where their products are from, where they're grown, you know, what they contain, and also because of the health issues with regards to cosmetic ingredients and how they're linked, you know, there's a big trend towards natural. So biotechnology, if I just look at the definition of biotechnology, the Britannica Dictionary, which we all have at home, defines it as the use of biology to solve problems and make useful products. But if you look at the BioOrg website, which is the largest trade organization for biotechnology, they kind of look at it as biotechnology harnessing cellular and biomolecular processes to develop technologies and products to help improve our lives and the health of our planet. So it sounds quite scary when you talk about biotechnology, but if you break down it and the using actually break it down into very simple cellular level. So biotech ingredients, obviously a lot of beauty corporates have been partnering with biotech industry for quite some time. But what's really interesting, so really interesting one, which is looking at animal-free collagen. So collagen is a huge industry, but looking at driving it animal-free. There's a really good example that I'm going to talk about, which is vitamin synthesis from a fermentation. So for example, vitamin C is used a lot in cosmetics, vitamin B also, or vitamin D. There's also squalane, which is normally taken from cartilage, taking it from sugarcane. So that's a really route to market. And keratin as well for hair care products. We can get ethically sourced keratin. So there's some really interesting work kind of happening on that. That could be really useful for natural beauty brands as a way of kind of keeping your status as natural or cosmos natural. So the demand for natural products is on the up, absolutely. And I don't know if you know echinacea. Echinacea purpurea. So echinacea is used as an immunostimulant. It's an oral product that you take. If you just look at a graph of the billions of US dollars, the total US retail sale of herbal products is just going up every year. And this last year, I think there's just compiling the data, but it's kind of broken all records. It's just going through the roof. This is another graph of the total US sales per year, and the percentage change year on year. And I think this last year it's gone up by about 15%. So it's like a huge increase. Two of the biggest ingredients that are looked at is elderberry, which is used as something that you do at college is looking at botanical tissue culture, and I won't go into it in great detail, but I think most people probably know tissue culture is where you take a small sample of your particular plant and you grow it in an agar dish to provide a callus, and then the callus basically can then be grown up in medium. So you can have like big vats of soup where you just have the plant cells growing there, and you can either grow it in a test tube or you can just grow the plant cells, depending on what active ingredient you're actually looking for, whether that's an essential oil or whether it's an actual compound like sterols. Anyway, there's a whole infogram here on plant tissue culture if anybody's interested in any more detail. So couple of examples of biotechnology, or some good examples. One is obviously with the drug industry and related to my background, but also bioactives for cosmetics as well. And the second is vitamin synthesis. So we'll talk about vitamins and how they can be made in biotechnology. So the first one is really coming a bit off piste from cosmetics, but Taxol. People have probably heard of Taxol, but it's the drug which is derived from the yew tree. The yew tree, or the Pacific yew, can take 300 or 400 years to kind of grow a tree, and you normally find them in the UK in graveyards and stuff. They're very old, gnarly kind of trees. But for one patient, for breast cancer, for one patient, it can take up to 6 hectares of trees. So it's just not sustainable to actually grow the yew trees to extract the compounds to treat patients. So this is the actual drug Taxol here, and it's a very complex one. But now what can happen is it can be made through biotechnology. So it can actually make this actual compound through biotechnology. So that's just an interesting example. Next one is a company that I know in Denmark called BeautySourcing, who call themselves the natural vitamin company. So a lot of people are using vitamins in their products and formulations. So BeautySourcing, basically using biology rather than chemistry as a way to actually identify the active ingredients. So they use a sugar beet extract to make something called biotin. And if people don't know, biotin is what we would call vitamin B or vitamin B7. So that's something that would be used in that. And obviously it's sourced from nature. They use got a very high quality formulation from that, and they actually, it's very sustainable because they can produce a huge amount of it, and it's not impacted by fluctuations due to seasonality. So obviously if you've got your different seasons, or if you've got pest control, then that's an issue. And it's also classed as eco-friendly. So it's a very different approach that they're using, but also a very interesting approach to tackle the demand, really. So what are we doing at Modern Botany? We very much see certifications as the way to lead the industry. We're vegan, we're vegetarian compliant, we're cruelty free, we're also Cosmos certified. We use good manufacturing practice always. And what I want to talk about was the pharmacopoeia grade. So we use pharmacopoeia grade extracts, and that's where you can keep a standard level of quality of your extracts. We're also moving towards B Corporation, and we also do herb farming locally and regenerative farming. So that's kind of what we're doing. The issues, though, that I think the industry faces, and especially now with the huge demand, is adulteration. And this is one of the biggest issues that I have to deal with. Is it could be intentional, where people are, if you've got a very expensive product, people are adulterating that product, or it could be unintentional. People don't maybe know what chamomile looks like, and they're adulterating with a different plant. So I won't go into too much detail, but there's something called botanical substitution or mistaken identity, where people might be harvesting a particular plant, but they don't really know if that's the right plant. So that's a bit of an issue. Also, poor identification, or it could be mixing of species. I know that feverfew, for example, looks very much like chamomile, and people might be picking feverfew thinking it's chamomile when it's not really. So this is one of the biggest issues in the industry at the moment. There's also a lot of lack of training when it comes down to harvesting, if you go right down to the end of the supply chain, and the proper identification of the plants as well. So it could also be an expensive material. I know ginseng is a very popular product, but over here in Europe, we're having examples of where ginseng is being sold. It's really parsnips. It's being sprayed with ginseng powder. And there's a huge issue because obviously it's a completely different species of plant. So that's a big issue for us. Adulteration, if you buy a powder of something, people could be putting cornstarch into the powder, so you get these little purple blobs. So something else that you need to look into. And again, microscopy is a very important thing. Licorice is a really core ingredient, especially a lot in Asian formulations. Sugar has been found in a lot of licorice. Licorice is very sweet normally, but people have been putting sugar into it. Tree pollen, tree pollen could just be falling off the trees into the products, but then it's adulterating the ingredient. And then you get things like impurities. So you could be foreign matter, you've got birds flying overhead, you could be dirt, it could be mold, insect fragments as well. Like if you look at this through a microscope, you might think, what's this in my sample? But actually when you zoom out, it's actually some ants. You might have got ant infestations and things. So what I'm trying to show you is that is actually a honeybee wing here. So there are tolerable limits, but obviously raw material has to be tested for pesticides, heavy metals, things like yeasts, molds, and microbes and stuff as well. And also intentional adulteration. People might say cut whatever powder you're buying and then put in potato flour because it's inert, it doesn't smell, and it can kind of bulk up your raw material. Same with rice flour as well. So there's a lot of issues when it comes to botanical quality, and what I'm trying to say is maybe biotechnology is the way of so we can actually get a standard side. So what I'm trying to is think there's a bit of both that we kind of need in industry. So I work with a company called Camag in Switzerland, and we use something called a HPTLC machine, which really kind of measures the high quality. This is licorice, most people know, but you look microscopically at licorice and what it looks like, and you can kind of determine how the quality is, but not until you actually examine it under HPTLC trace can you actually see the quality. So just in summary, what I was trying to explain is biotech industry the way forward to achieve sustainability. Hopefully I've described pharmacognosy and what pharmacognosy is. I've given you some definitions. I've also hopefully shown you some of the issues that we have with sourcing the raw materials. And I personally think that pharmacognosy and biotechnology is the solution. I think it's a hybrid that we need to look at. So it's looking at high-end quality extracts from raw materials, but also looking at biotechnology as a way of supplementing the demand, really. There is a link here that people can click on the pack, which is the Sustainable Herbs Program. It's the American Botanic Council who actually run that. So please feel free to kind of click on that link. So that'd be interesting. Down here in Ireland, we've been growing chamomile as a way of filling our demand. And again, just looking at the quality, here on the left is a commercial essential oil sample, which is a bluey green color, but this is our Irish essential oil sample, which is bright blue, which is the indicative test for good chamomile quality. And you can see here the levels of ingredients that we're extracting on a commercial sample is very little, but on our homegrown sample is a lot higher, and we're getting a lot more yield from our ingredients. This, just to finish up, is an example of a monograph that you would use to test your raw material. So this, for example, is feverfew, which is not chamomile, but it's actually often mixed up with chamomile, and then you can use it to detect the differences in the extract. So yeah, this is where I'm based. You probably all heard of Ireland. It's the Green Island. We actually have a little chamomile farm, and we're growing herbs down here in West Cork. So if anybody is in Ireland, please feel free to get in touch. If people have heard of Dublin, over here, we're about 6-hour drive away from Dublin. We're right down here at the bottom of the country. So I'll just zoom in. So we're right down here. The next stop is basically America, and we're facing the Atlantic Ocean. So just want to say a big thank you for inviting me to come and talk. I hope people found it interesting. My email address is there if people want to get in touch with me, and the website is modernbotany.com. So Selena, thank you very much.
Okay, we are going to wrap up today. I would like thanks to all the panelists, Joe, Simon, and Luisa join us today to put so much great presentation all together. And thank you for everyone to join this webinar. So ladies and gentlemen, thanks to join today. Beauty Academy will continue to organize a series of webinars on different topics in beauty industry. So from the screen, you can see the upcoming webinars we will organize, and you can scan and to register. And we looking forward to seeing all of you join our upcoming activities. So thank you, John, thank you, Simon, thank you, Luisa, thank you. Have a good day. Bye. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.